Hello? Hello?
Hey, Justin.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I'm not able to see you here.
Oh, yeah. Got my camera turned on.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Huh, hold on. Something's weird going on here. What in the world?
Hey, Justin.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I'm not able to see you here.
I hear it repeating on YouTube.
Huh, hold on. What in the world? Yeah. All right, I think we're in business, Russ.
All right. Tom Dole.
How you doing, Tom?
There we go. How you doing, guys?
Good.
Good.
Couldn't find my unmute button.
Be tricky. How many you've been doing this a lot, Tom? Zoom meetings or?
I've done, I don't know how many I've done. I've done one board meeting. And then I've had two board meetings where people have Zoomed in.
Right. It says it's on YouTube, live on YouTube. They wanted me to put it on YouTube. I think I did it right. It says live on YouTube, I'm sure.
It is recording it too.
Yeah. Hey, Don, how's it going?
Doing good.
If you wanted to look on my computer, you can. Go and pull it up. It should be. They're on YouTube.
Pete, what are you wearing glasses for?
Oh, age is catching up with me, buddy. I can't
Father,
see anymore.
Father Time and Mother Nature make us all equal.
Yeah, it hadn't been real nice to me. Hey, thanks for the parts, by the way.
Aladdin, Prince Ali, is that what it was? I mean, I'm used to that kind of stuff.
I don't know where it came from.
I don't know. I don't have the login stuff on my.
Oh, yeah.
Um, she's gonna be joining us. I don't know if she's on right now. But I got her the roll call, the agenda.
Is it on your side?
What's going on, Pete?
Not much. How are you, Justin?
All right, buddy. Hanging in.
Same here.
Mm-hmm. All right, buddy. Hanging in.
Same.
I mean, I guess I could get on there and run. But I think everybody knows what's up.
This is a weird view. Put it on this.
There you go. You can see everybody. Look at, is he wearing a
He's got a
fedora?
green thing.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out that Ted Chisholm looks a whole lot like Scott Treese this week.
What do you say about that?
I'm not sure who that's an improvement for, Scott.
No comment. He's a lot younger looking anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, he is that. Uh-oh, look coming here.
Not near as white-headed either.
Now,
Okay.
now see,
Oh, Lord.
All right, I've got 1:30, so we'll go on and get started and get things going. Respect everybody's time. Appreciate everybody being here today, and we'll start off. If Rachel's on here, we'll get her to call the roll.
I think she's having a problem logging in right now, Russ. I'll go ahead and call it out for us.
Okay, super.
We got Russ Rose,
Here.
Kevin Gibson, Ted Chisholm, Scott Treese, Kevin Nuss, yeah, make sure everybody's unmuting themselves when they're responding. Rachel's with us now. Hey, Rachel, I didn't mean to step on your toes. You want to go ahead and take over? You unmuted? You're still muted. Rachel, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. So
You're
what,
with us.
where were you? Or do you want me to just,
I'll
just start
call it-
over?
Yeah, you just go ahead and start over. You can make-
Okay. So give everybody a chance to unmute themselves. Okay. So, Russ Rose.
Here.
Okay. Kevin Gibson. Ted Chisholm. Kevin Nuss. Keith Griffey. Ronnie Fick. Arthur Jones. Scott Fleming. Gary Kennedy. Jim Grunow. Jeremy Rainey. Stephanie Laughlin. Wesley Sidnor. Tom Doyle.
Here.
Pete Hedges,
Here.
Melvin Phoenix, Keith Morris, Scott Treese, Matt McAllister, Jim Hoskins, Neil Martindale, Mark Bates. Justin, did I miss anybody? Or,
So I believe, Rachel, we couldn't hear Ted or Scott, but I believe they were trying to speak.
Pat Hargett, US 60 Water too.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Rachel, can
So-
you hear us?
We can now.
Yeah,
please.
okay, so Ted and Scott, okay.
Okay.
I didn't hear you. Sorry, maybe I didn't give you enough time to respond before I kept talking. Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So in your packet is a copy of the minutes from the April 14th meeting. And if you've had time to review those, I'd ask for a motion and a second, please. And please state, when you make your motion, state who you are, so Rachel will have that for the minutes. I see Ted talking, but we can't hear you, Ted.
Bryce Humble, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. We have a
I'll
motion.
second.
We have a second from Pete Hedges.
Pete.
All right. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? No opposed. So the minutes are approved. I believe we have Jennifer here from Division of Water. And Jennifer's going to give us an update on the sanitary surveys and what's going on, I think, with the division right now and kind of how things are going. Hey, Jennifer.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Good. Unfortunately, with my current setup, I do not have video, but or maybe, I don't know, fortunately. I'm not so much given an update. I'm going to talk about the sanitary survey in general and what it's used for. As far as I know, there aren't too many updates regarding what the Division of Water is doing. It's the same as what Sarah presented, I guess, last time. Nothing's really changed yet, as far as I know. Let me see if I can share my screen here.
Okay.
Oh, it says host disabled, participant sharing.
See.
Justin's going to get you connected up here.
Okay.
While we're waiting, Russ, this is Jory Becker. So I'll just say that Jennifer's right that the division is still, or actually it's at the department level, is still evaluating the plan to get back to face-to-face things that are as intensive as sanitary surveys. So at this point, we're doing some inspections, but as far as the capacity development program and staff, we've not yet received authorization, although we have a way, or we have an approach that we think is going to be acceptable safety-wise for our staff as well as for the utilities. That plan has not been approved yet internally. So the original target for that was 7/1, but then there was a blip. And so my guess is it's not going to be ready on the pay period starting 2 days from now. So my guess is we're going to target 8/1 for that. So what Jennifer's going to tell you today, I think, is things that are applicable generally and will be generally, hopefully, back on track here starting in August. But unfortunately, with the fluctuation in the statistics and things in Florida, South Carolina, and even here in Kentucky, although it's not as drastic, they're still evaluating I guess I'll call it the closer contact field protocols that involve record review and face-to-face meetings. So I guess that's a little update on that.
Super. All right. Thanks, George. Appreciate that.
Jennifer, you should be good to go to share now if you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I think I want this side. Okay. Okay, so can you all see that?
You can. We've got your
Awesome.
capacity development screen up.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so I just want to start off saying thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Again, I'm Jennifer Timey with the Division of Water, and I'm not going to be talking about coronavirus today, except to say that the majority of the division is still working remotely. And if you have questions regarding drinking water or wastewater related to the coronavirus, this is a screenshot of our homepage, and there circled in red is all the guidance that the Division of Water has put out since all of this started. So hopefully you've already been taking advantage of that. Okay, I like to start with a little about me page, just because those of you that I have met, I've probably only seen you once in 3 years. And there's plenty of you that I'm sure I have not met yet. I have been with the division for I've been with the state for 15 years. I've been with the division for a little over 4.5 in this same position. I have 2 dogs and 1 cat and 1 roommate, and they're all up there in the right top. The 2 big dogs are mine. Let's see if I got pointers here. So this right here is my sister and me. I'm there in the green. And that's our annual selfie that we take when I'm home at Christmas. We go out to my dad's cousin's farm and let the dogs run. This picture serves no purpose for this slide except that it makes me laugh. My favorite animal is the elephant, and I enjoy crocheting and making bath bombs and karaoke. And I guess from my pictures, you can tell I also enjoy changing my hair color. So there I am making my bath bombs, the mad scientist. These are not my kids. Those are just some examples of the costumes that I've made, the little Halloween costumes for my friends' kids. That's like one of my favorite things to do is make those costumes. So moving on. A few years ago, the whole cabinet had a reorganization. And when that happened, the capacity development section combined with wastewater municipal planning. And we became the municipal planning section with Russell Neal, whom I'm sure a lot of you know, as our supervisor. On the drinking water side of the section, we're responsible for capacity development, and we conduct the managerial and financial assessment of the sanitary survey. So that is Jason Lambert, Ryan Reed, and myself. On the wastewater side, we've got Lori Dials, Chris Luffy, and Brittany Dittmer, and they review the facility plans and the asset inventories, and they also do the environmental reviews. And they're responsible for issuing the line extension bans as well. So today I'm going to be talking mostly about drinking water, since that's my background, but some of these concepts can absolutely be applied to wastewater. On the drinking water side of our section, like I said, one of the things that we do is capacity development. In this context, capacity means capability. And we are talking about the capability of a water system to provide clean, safe drinking water that meets all the requirements of the Safe Drinking Water Act. So when I say capacity development, that means that we are here to assist you all in developing or increasing your capacity or your capability to provide clean, safe drinking water to your customers now and into the future. And the way that we assess your capacity is through the sanitary survey process. So today I'm going to talk about the sanitary survey, which is only a regulatory requirement for public water systems. And like Jory said, we're not currently conducting the sanitary surveys, and we haven't been since mid-March. I think Jory said maybe we might be starting up August. I will say though that if you were scheduled for a survey this year, assume that that's still going to happen. And that's all the information that we have at the moment. So if you have any questions or concerns, you're always welcome to give us a call.
Yep, or call me, either one.
Okay, so the sanitary survey is a federal requirement, but it's carried out by the primacy agency, which for Kentucky is the Division of Water. It's conducted for all public water systems, every 3 years for community water systems, and every 5 years for non-community water systems. The words on this slide came directly from the EPA website regarding sanitary surveys, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. The sanitary survey is a review of a public water system to assess their capability to supply safe drinking water. It's a proactive public health measure and an important component of the Safe Drinking Water Act Public Water System Supervision Program. What this means is that the sanitary survey hopefully provides us with the opportunity to discover and rectify issues before they become serious problems. There are 8 federally required elements of the sanitary survey, most of which are technical. These elements are source, treatment, distribution system, finished water, pumps, monitoring and reporting, management and operation, and operator compliance. If you're familiar with the sanitary survey, you may recall that in addition to the technical portion, you also get a managerial and financial assessment that same month. This assessment is what we do on the drinking water side of the municipal planning section. And really, it's more like an audit than an inspection. Not every state does it this way. Kentucky just chose to do the managerial and financial assessment in conjunction with the sanitary survey. Okay, so like I said, there are 2 parts, the technical portion and the managerial and financial assessment. I'm not going to really talk about that technical portion. It's very similar to a comprehensive inspection, and it's conducted by your inspector. The part that I do, the managerial and the financial portion, is looking at how the system is run. Do you run your system like a business? Because you absolutely should be. We look to see if the system is appropriately staffed, if all of your employees understand the regulatory requirements and system operations. Are the mission, goals, and expectations clearly communicated to all employees? Do you have effective customer service? Do you have savings, both a rainy day fund and savings for known future infrastructure replacements? This pandemic is a very real example of why those rainy day funds are so important. With people out of work and not able to pay their bills, utilities are seeing a dramatic loss of revenue, as I'm sure most, if not all of you, are very well aware. I saw a report that the Rural Community Assistance Partnership put out. I don't know if it was a month or 2 months, everything's kind of running together, but a little ways back, they put out a report based on a survey that they did of water utilities across the country. It said that 31% of utilities surveyed said they will not be able to continue to pay for all system expenses past 6 months. And systems that even make it to 6 months, they had savings because many of these utilities across the country had no savings and were not able to even pay their expenses after just a month or 2 of all of this beginning. So this is why we stress the importance of savings accounts and rates that support saving money for situations that you don't see coming, because none of us saw this coming. And then also for those situations that you do know are coming, like aging infrastructure replacement. And then at the bottom of this slide, I included, we want to know if your governing entity, your board and your council members, are they receiving training regarding water treatment and distribution? It is really important that those who make the major decisions about how money is spent have a good idea of what all goes into operating a well-run system. Most of what we review in the managerial and the financial assessment is not regulated, at least not by the Division of Water. For the PSC regulated utilities, they do have regulatory authority over some of the things that we also review. But most of what we look at is considered more to be best management practices. So that means that most of your potential deficiencies are coming from the technical side of the survey. However, there are some deficiencies that come from the managerial and the financial portion. These are things that are in regulation. From the sanitary survey, you can either receive a significant deficiency, which is something that affects public health, or a non-significant deficiency. These are the things that are required by regulation, but do not directly affect public health. For example, not having an operation and maintenance manual that meets the regulated requirements is considered a non-significant deficiency. It does not directly affect public health, but it is required by regulation. And I chose this one to point out specifically because we harp on these manuals probably to the point of annoyance, but they are so important beyond just what the regulation requires. A useful operation and maintenance manual is going to be one that's written with the idea that an operator with no prior knowledge of the system could come in and operate the entire system based on just the contents of the manual. So we're talking about an operator, you know, somebody who has water operation knowledge. They just don't necessarily know the ins and outs of your particular system. And again, COVID-19, we have a very real situation that emphasizes the importance of these manuals. Many of our small systems have only one, maybe two operators. And if they get sick, who's going to run the system and continue to provide safe drinking water to that community? A thorough manual will allow an operator from another system to fill that vacancy without risking public health or disruption of service. What you all do is so incredibly important, as we literally cannot live without water. And it's even more important in terms of sanitation during a pandemic. So really try to make it a priority to augment your O&M manuals beyond just the regulated requirements, if you haven't already taken the time to do that. So I'll get off my soapbox there. So, I mean, realistically though, that augmenting your O&M manual would be a recommendation on your sanitary survey. In order to not receive a deficiency regarding your manual, it need only meet the regulated requirements. I do want to emphasize that deficiencies are not violations. Like I mentioned before, we try to find the issues and fix them through the sanitary survey process before it becomes a violation. So in addition to the deficiencies, you'll also likely receive recommendations like I just talked about. And obviously a recommendation is just that. You can choose to implement it or not. However, that is kind of the point of this presentation. The sanitary survey helps us determine your system's capacity. And those recommendations are designed to help increase your capacity. So, you know, we're not just handing out recommendations for fun. They do serve a purpose. The Division of Water looks at 3 areas of capacity: technical, managerial, and financial. And often you'll hear this referred to as TMF capacity. Like I mentioned, in this context, capacity means the capability of a public water system to achieve and maintain compliance with the Safe Drinking Water Act. When we conduct the sanitary survey, including the managerial and financial assessment, we are determining whether or not your system lacks capacity in any of these 3 areas. Even though lacking capacity in one or all of these areas doesn't necessarily mean you're out of compliance, it could mean that your system is on its way to being out of compliance. An important thing to note is that if your system is lacking technical, managerial, and/or financial capacity, it can potentially disqualify your system from receiving funding like a state revolving fund loan, unless the project brings the system back into compliance or helps the system acquire capacity. So if you've not responded to your most recent sanitary survey letter, please go ahead and do that. First of all, it is required. You must respond to any deficiencies that you receive, and the due date for those responses is included in the letter. But also seriously consider implementing the recommendations that we suggest. And if you need help, give us a call. That's what we're here for. We can either provide direct assistance, we have guidance documents and templates available, or we can put you in touch with some of the technical assistance providers in the state. And so just before I end here, while I'm talking about capacity development, I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention asset management. Asset management is a tool to help develop or increase a utility's capacity. It is putting together a plan to maintain the desired level of service at the lowest life cycle cost. It's the opposite of running your assets into the ground with no money available to replace them. It's a fully funded preventive maintenance program. It's planning and saving for the future. It's treating your operators like valued assets. Asset management covers just about every aspect of operating a water or wastewater facility. So if you're developing an asset management plan, your TMF capacity is going to increase automatically. Asset management is a bit too complicated to get into in our short time today, but just so that you're aware, America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 requires states to begin promoting asset management for our drinking water and wastewater facilities. It has also been identified as a priority for the Division of Water. So you will likely be hearing a lot more on this topic in future trainings and conferences that you may attend. If, however, you're just gung-ho to get started on asset management, a really great resource is the Environmental Finance Center Network. It's a university-based organization working to create solutions to manage costs associated with environmental protection and improvement. They have what's called the Smart Management for Small Water Systems project, which is made possible through a cooperative agreement with the EPA. This project seeks to address the major issues facing small water systems across the country. And they provide trainings, webinars, and technical assistance on topics such as asset management, as well as rate setting, energy management, water loss, things like that. So if you have a minute, check it out. And that's all I have for today. I can take questions now, or if you think of something later, feel free to call or email. That number is going directly to my office phone. And since I'm not there to answer it, you'll have to leave a message, which then sends me an email, and then I can, call you back. So it may be quicker to just email me, but either way, I'll get back to you. So thank you for your time and attention.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Anybody have any questions for Jennifer right now? Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
We're going to move right on down the line, and we're very fortunate today to have several of the lenders that provide financing for a lot of us across the state. And first of all, would like to introduce Hilda Legg. Hilda is here from Rural Development, and we're so fortunate to have her today, and really appreciate her making the time to come and speak to us. So Hilda, take it away. I don't think we've got her muted or something.
You should be unmuted now. It says she's not muted.
Okay, how about that, Hilda?
It says she's not muted.
There we go.
All right. It said I was unmuted, but I tell you what, Chairman Rose, it's really hard to get me to shut up. So y'all are just making sure you could cut me off, right? First of all, I want to thank you so very much for inviting rural development to be a part of this KIPDA area participation. We don't get to do this much in KIPDA because sometimes people think, oh, Jefferson County, Indiana, but we really want to take a moment to tell you about some of the investments that we made. And so when Justin Carter reached out on behalf of you, I just want to say thank you to KIPDA, to you, and to everyone for allowing us this opportunity. I obviously am a novice in front of this group because unlike Jennifer, I didn't bring a picture of my child or my 2 dogs to introduce myself. So we will we'll get through a PowerPoint presentation. And then I also have with me Anthony Hollingsworth, who is our program director, and he'll be here for the details and to answer the questions that we can't answer. So I want to just begin, the first slide will show you that in just this fiscal year alone, rural development has invested $63 million in 2020. And then in the past 3 years during this administration, we have put $244.8 million invested into all of our rural development programs. That's just in the KIPDA counties that do qualify and can participate as rural. Of that, $5.7 million is in water and environmental programs, which you all are interested in. And we want to say a very special thank you to our customers presently, which is the city of Taylorsville, the Trimble County Water, and the North Shelby Water area that we're working with in our water and our WEP program. Also in our business program, and this is just so that you all will know so you can share with your fellow board members and KIPDA staff, we put 10.5 in the KIPDA region in our business program, and a chunk of that was in our 6 Mile Creek Distillery, which I guess is maybe a little slower getting open than we had hoped in Pleasureville, but really excited about that potential project. And we've done a number of energy efficiency programs, our REAP program, where we can exchange LED lighting in your businesses, photovoltaic energy. So just if you have a need for that in the businesses in the KIPDA area, think about calling rural development. And then, of course, a lot of folks remember rural development as the old farmer's home, and we have $230 million, $229 million in single and multifamily housing programs. So that's just an overall investment into the KIPDA region. In rural development, we have over 45 programs to help our rural communities, from housing, as I said, to business development, to community programs, emergency vehicles, fire trucks, libraries, hospitals. It really covers the gamut of what our rural communities need in order to remain viable. One of my favorite ones I'll add in here, we don't normally think that we do anything in Jefferson County, but we actually do with our distance learning and telemedicine. And we've had just a huge surge of interest, especially since COVID-19, the grant program that is just closed yesterday for $1 million grant that would go throughout, to multiple entities. I think we're going to break a record on applications from Kentucky. But a few years ago, Norton's Hospital received one in order to reach out to rural communities. So we want to make sure we include all the counties when we talk about the KIPDA region, and we think we can be a benefit. So think of us as you look into that in the future of connecting schools and hospitals and clinics for both telemedicine and distance learning. But let's focus for a moment on our water and environmental programs, which help our communities obtain technical assistance and financing necessary to develop clean drinking water and waste disposal systems. Basically, 2 programs, waste and wastewater disposal loan and grant program. This program provides funding for clean and reliable drinking water, sanitary sewage disposal, sanitary solid waste disposal, stormwater drainage to households and businesses in our eligible rural populations, which for this particular program, loan and grant program, is a population of 10,000 or less. But then we just raised the population on this program. So for population communities up to 50,000, we have our water and waste disposal guarantee program where we work with an existing lender, and this provides a better term. It's an affordable financing to the qualified buyers, and again, for its clean, reliable drinking water and our wastewater disposal systems for households and businesses. So again, expanding our population with our guarantee, working with a partner relationship, an existing lender. The federal government comes in and backs that. And we're seeing some interest grow in that, and again, being able to reach out to larger communities. So we wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that. As you know, the median household income makes a significant difference in terms of us deciding how much grant a project will get as opposed to how much loan in a qualifying community. So I want to just take a moment to really encourage all of you all to think about how important the census is in determining your population, the income level of that population compared to the state. That allows you to qualify. Some of your communities in KIPDA are sort of marginal. They're fairly close to that MHI that will allow them to qualify for a grant. So as we see the census taking place this year with COVID-19, many people unemployed, businesses that have had to shut down, we are expecting that median household income to change some once we get those census. So please be aware of that and be looking at some of those communities that may not have qualified for grants or very much grant in the past, for that to increase with our rural development program. So we will look forward to working with you. I want to highlight some of what we think from rural development. The reason we like our funding program in our WEP and projects here. For one thing, when the federal government, and i.e. that's rural development, when we have reviewed and approved applications, this expedites the PSC's approval of the rates. So we get through that process much quicker. This is true in our WEP. It also works with us in our electric and some of our telecom programs. So it's the eye of the feds over it, and therefore the Public Service Commission moves that project through in a more expeditious way. Also, we are not subject to the Davis-Bacon wage rates, so that's an advantage. We have up to a term of a loan for 40 years. So when you amortize over 40 years, you can get your yearly payments down. Our interest rates right now, Russ, are the lowest that they've been in history. The market is 1.87, the intermediate is 1.5, and the poverty is 1.1. And you know that we have a local contact right there in the Shelbyville office in Shelbyville, Kentucky, and Greg Pridemore. I know that hopefully many of you are familiar with Greg, and if you aren't, then please reach out, send him an email, give him a call, introduce yourself, and tell him you'd like to talk to him about financing some of your water programs or other RD programs that you might be interested in. I'll take just a moment to talk about what we are doing with COVID-19. We are operating 100% teleworking. Kentucky has kind of led the South in that I've been able to reopen 2 of our rural offices so far in the phase 1. I just have one that's moving to phase 2 this week. So we're being very aggressive, but by and large, we are, everyone else is available through their phones via the telework numbers. And so what we have done to try to help our borrowers, our customers to deal with this COVID-19, our existing borrowers may tap into their reserve account. We require them to have reserve accounts. We are allowing them to get into those reserve accounts for payments on loans. Also, if a borrower has suffered more than 20% reduction in their income, we can grant them up to a 2-year deferral of the payment that is due. Our Business and Industry CARES Act program offers loan guarantees to lenders for their loans to rural businesses and agriculture producers to supplement their working capital to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the economic impacts of the coronavirus. And that works with our borrowers in our WEP program. So if you want to know more about that, there's a website that you can go on and search, or of course, you can always give us a call. Our state office number is 859-224-7300. And then the person answering the phone will route you to an appropriate person. One of the things that Justin had put into his letter was to look ahead. I'm always a little bit cautious about that because I never want to presume to speak for Congress, right? So who knows what Congress is going to do? But in 2020, we had 36.7 million in loan dollars in our WEP program and 10.1 in our grant. So I'm going to say we expect to probably have about the same amount of funding. At this point, we have no indication of anything any differently. So that's a quick overview. And now let's go to see if we have any questions.
Thank you so much, Hilda. I really appreciate that. Council, do we have any questions regarding that presentation at all?
Thank you, Hilda. Really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much for inviting us, Chairman Rose. And we hope, maybe we can come in person the next time. Sure. But we are glad to be a part of this any and every time that we can to give you an update. Again, we want to thank those communities from the KIPDA area that works with us. We value our customers highly. We love our rural water folks. So we really enjoy working with you and hope you'll give us a call or shoot us an email. My email is just hilda.leg@usda.gov. And again, 859-224-7300. So we want to be as responsive as we can possibly be to you all. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And,
Director Legg, I have one question, Russ. All right, if I get a copy of that presentation so I can send it out to all the directors and operators that weren't with us today?
Absolutely, love to.
I'll reach out. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Hilda. And certainly you, Anthony, or Greg, any of your staff are always welcome to attend any of our meetings, and we'd love to have you. So thank you again. We'll move right on down the line, and we're also certainly blessed today to have another one of the major lenders for a lot of us here across the state, and that's KIA. And Edith is here, and I believe I also saw that Linda was on the line as well. So, hey, Linda. Edith, how are you?
Hello, good to see you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Go
ahead.
How are you doing?
Doing great.
Well, it's good to see you guys. Glad we're starting our new contract year. We've got all those contracts in place, and those are starting the July 15th. We just concluded the initial invitation stage on our round of loan funding for the upcoming fiscal year 2021. And we are going to, everyone's responded. So we know if we already see that we'll have a little bit more available, about 8 or 9 million in each of the drinking water and clean water programs. So we'll be moving along to reallocate those funds. So the next phase of our program is for the applicants to complete the loan application by August 9th. And that date is coming up very quickly. So I just wanted to remind everybody there's quite a few pieces involved in the loan application, the audits and some additional certifications and other matters. So those do take a little bit of time to complete. So, and that's due August 9th. I did want to ask that if you're working with borrowers that if they are having a problem with those dates, that they can send an email request for an extension of that date, and then we'll take a look at it and we'll try to set up a meeting with them. So those are the main issues. We did intended use plans went out for those projects, and they're primarily public comment period has concluded, and we're wrapping up the responses to that. But basically, the one change in the fall is going to be that we are going to have the call for projects from September 15th to December 4th. So that's a little bit of a difference, and you'll want to be aware of that. So I hope you're working on upcoming projects. There has been quite a bit of legislative activity about potential stimulus funding for related to the COVID crisis, but it's nothing has come out of that yet. So, and we have quite a few different versions of bills. The one that seems to have a little traction has to do with projects that could be either shovel ready or contract ready within 18 months. So do want to emphasize that we do have the monies available now. So, and I also, even getting back to our program without any additional funding, the sooner that the borrowers can get those loan applications completed, the sooner we can take those applications to the board and get the money out the door to people to start projects. So of course, there are quite a few steps in between the actual approval and getting to the shovel ready spot, but the sooner we can get those applications in, that's the first step to moving towards getting those construction projects started and stir up the economy a little bit, give some people some opportunity for some employment as well out there. So I know it's a difficult time, a lot of uncertainty with regard to COVID, and you certainly hear a lot of concern, particularly at the national level, about this sort of phase of the COVID. Or in Kentucky, we've been very blessed to have things under control, and we hope to maintain that. And I do recognize that, most of the time frames that we're looking at for these projects are more than a year out for actually getting to the shovel ready phase. So I do want to encourage you to reassure the potential borrowers that we're working to proceed well, hope for the best, work for the best, but proceed as if things are not going to go well. So we are going to proceed, we proceed according to our plan that things are all going to continue to go well. And there are opportunities to back up or to hold off later on, but we don't need to hold off now. So I just wanted to encourage everyone to proceed accordingly. I know there's been some anxiety even working. And I did want to ask, are your offices open on a part-time basis, or are you closed? I guess you'll have to unmute yourselves to answer. I did want to present this more as an opportunity to talk to you guys too, and ladies. So feedback that you may have on, are you working entirely remotely at this point? I can tell from some.
Yeah, I can tell you what we've done, Edith. We've never entirely shut down. The office has always been open. We are fortunate to have a drive-through window. Our lobby is closed, but we have continued to operate and keep the office open with only drive-through service. And of course, all these folks here, I know the operators have been coming in every day. treatment plant operators, distribution operators, both water and wastewater plant operators are coming in every day and have. In our particular situation, we've tried to keep as many folks out of the treatment plant as possible. With only we have one main operator with a backup operator. The main operator has been the only one in the plant since I think March the 13th, and he has worked every day and every weekend since that time. So, like I think all these systems here, we have a tremendous amount of dedicated folks in the water and wastewater business, and they're all to be commended, as well as the Division of Water folks and folks like RCAP and KRWA that help us out as well.
So you keep us operating, and we appreciate your work. These are essential functions that we're providing. Obviously, water is our most important necessity for drinking, and then recycling through the process. So it's I thank you all for your dedicated efforts. I don't have any other questions, or does anyone have questions for us?
I might ask you to touch on, if you don't mind, touch on the rates that were approved at the last meeting and what those are for folks as well moving forward.
So we have, right now we're at 2.5% for the standard rate and 1.5% for the tier rate, and 0.25% for the lowest tier rate. So for the mid-tier is 1.5%. So a little bit different, looks like, from the rural development, but did want to bring those up, and we will be working through our lists, as I said, to move on to those other projects. So thank you all.
Thank you. I think it's important to note there's a lot of available affordable money.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing you.
I think there's a lot of available affordable money out there.
I don't know if something's happened to my microphone, but I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, Russ, I think something it sounds like your microphone's a little muted or something. It's low.
Okay. I'm not sure.
There you go. That was
Is that any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, so we didn't hear what you said, though.
Sorry about that. I think there's a lot of available affordable money out there right now for systems, and we certainly need to take advantage of it, whether it's through KIA or rural development, or even through some of the interim financing that rural water or the League of Cities, some of these other organizations can provide. So if you're in need of money right now, there's no better time. I think the message is there's no better time to borrow than right now. So certainly think about that. But thank you, Edith, and really appreciate you being here and speaking to us today.
Well, thanks. Keep working on encouraging people to get their projects lined up.
All right. Thanks a lot. We had Joe Burns on the agenda, and I don't think I saw Joe, but I did see Ariana from KRWA. Ariana, you have anything you want to bring us up to date on and what's going on in your world?
Yeah, Joe got caught up, and so he called me and asked me to step in for him real fast. If he can make it, he's going to try and call in by the end of the meeting, but it's looking like that's not going to happen.
Okay.
So I don't have any fancy PowerPoints or anything. I certainly don't have pictures of my kids or my pets or anything to share. Jennifer's showing us all up, right? I just wanted to kind of touch base very quickly on what Rural Water's up to at the moment. We are back out and about in the field again. Circuit riders are out. If you are a system that is in need of assistance, by all means, call on our folks and let us come out there and help you. We're trying as much as possible to stay outside, of course, because it's a lot easier and safer to maintain distancing and safety procedures outside. If there is a need for us to come into an office or into a plant, we do have masks. So we can wear those to try to help protect you all while also keeping ourselves safe. So if you've got a need, let us know there. We're also still offering webinars out the yin yang, right? We realize that it is a water year, so most of our hours are focused on drinking water, but we've been picking up the number of wastewater hours we're offering right now as well. If you are still in need of CEUs for your license renewal, hit up our website, or if need be, email somebody from Water, Joe Burns, myself, and we'll let you know. We'll get you signed up to start receiving our weekly or bi-weekly emails where we have announcements for our upcoming webinars and how to sign up for those. So we're really grateful that DCA has been very understanding about the need for continued training during this time and how quickly they were able to allow us to incorporate technology like this so that we can make that happen and help you all get your hours in. Also, you know, try to find that silver lining, right? The positive. Sure, COVID sure has been kicking everyone's behind, but on a great note, we do finally have the Kentucky Online Gateway. I hope everybody here is using that and taking advantage of that, but I'm gonna say it till I'm blue in the face. If you are a utility that has not set up an account with the Kentucky Online Gateway, we would really love to help you do that. You can submit your monthly operating reports. You can submit, if this is a lead and copper sampling year for you in drinking water, you can submit your certification package that way. You can submit level 1 assessments for RTCR. Anything that you can imagine for drinking water compliance, you can submit through the Kentucky Online Gateway. So if you need assistance, reach out and let us know. I think at last count, we had just over 50% participation from utilities using that portal for uploading their MORs. And that's great. So we're trying to reach out and help pick up the last folks who aren't using it at the moment. If you need help, just let us know. But I think that those are the highlights. It's about all I got.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm not sure who is here from RCAP, but I saw that someone is on the line. Wanted to give them opportunity to kind of give an update as well and what's going on in their world.
Thank you very much, Russ. This is Kim Paget.
Hey, Kim, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. I just thought I would be an attendee today, but just like Ariana said, we are back in the field. We're not out full speed, but we do go anywhere that anyone has a need, and we do wear masks, and we do still need to social distance as well. But
Okay.
Thanks so much for saying hello to me.
All right. Well, thank you. And we appreciate everything that you all do as well.
Thank you, sir.
So we thought we'd have a kind of a brief discussion about what's going on with COVID and how folks are getting along. And we can make this as short or as long as you all want to talk about it. But we might thought we would ask some of the systems, what you're doing, any problems that you're facing that we might be able to help each other with, and maybe ask what some of the challenges are that you're dealing with surrounded around COVID and your operators and providing service, as well as what are you seeing from a revenue standpoint. I know the Public Service Commission has recently done a pretty good size survey to see what's going on with some of the regulated utilities as well from a financial standpoint. So I don't know if anybody would like to start. I can call on somebody. Tom, you've got a great system. What would you mind to share kind of what's going on in your all's world in Shelbyville with surrounded around COVID?
Thanks, Russ. We've got, over like the last 3 weeks, we've opened our front office back lobby back up. we have limited the number of customers who can come in, and they must be masked coming in. Likewise, the ladies, plexiglass difference between them and the customers. We're probably running 100, 125 customers out of 10,000 at 90 days or over now. So, of course, we cannot throw penalty or disconnect notices or anything to them, but I have sent out some letters advising customers that will not be debt forgiveness. And if they are having COVID issues, you know, all of us, we do have customers, unless you turn them off, they're not going to pay. But those that are really having the issues, trying to promote the Team Kentucky funds and so forth to them to help get them caught up with their bills. And, you know, when it's all said and done, we'll put people on payment plans and arrangements to get caught up. I think our biggest issue we got going now is no coins in the market. Is anybody else having that problem?
We're hearing a little bit of that as well.
Yeah. So, you know, most everything else has been business as usual. We did lose a couple of industries during, you know, when Ford and Toyota shut down. Of course, we had some feeder companies shut down and schools down, but it appears that everything we lost on revenue with them, we were making up with our residential with everybody being at home. So it just sort of shifted just a little bit, but overall it might be down 1 or 2%, but nothing huge.
Sure. And we're seeing the similar thing. Residential usage is up for us currently. So, thanks, Tom. Ted, would you want to talk about kind of what's going on in your world and how you're dealing with COVID and your challenges?
Can you hear me, Russ?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I told him to turn it off and turn it on.
Well, we lost you though.
Oh man.
We lost you, Ted. I don't know if you got turned off. Started out okay, but we lost you.
Scott was saying that he was having some problems with their microphone to begin with, Russ. So okay. I don't know if those came back or not.
Well, we might have to come back to Ted.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Well, it starts out okay and then it cuts right back off. All right. Pete, how about you? You want to talk about your challenges and kind of where things are?
We're pretty much seeing the same thing as everybody else. You know, our revenues are, you know, we don't have a whole lot of industry other than a distillery and some schools, but our residential usage has gone way up. You know, we're pretty much operating just like you and Tom and everybody else. Is just kind of business as usual with a little inconvenience on the customer side coming through trying to get business done. But we don't have hardly any foot traffic out here. We're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so we don't really have to deal with that much of it. So revenues haven't really changed any. In fact, actually ours have gone up a little bit. So
that's great.
You know,
I've heard of some systems across the state. It sounds like most of ours are doing fairly well, but I've heard of some across the state that are experiencing some significant decreases in revenue.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, for us, it's mostly just, you know, the usual ones every month is the ones we gotta, you know, so it's nothing out of the ordinary other than we can't disconnect them.
Right. Okay. And I apologize. It's hard for me to see everybody. Are there some other systems here that would like to speak about kind of what you've got going on with COVID and how you're dealing with that? Okay. Clay, I know you deal with a lot of folks across the state. Would you mind to kind of give us a brief review of what you're seeing?
Yeah, it's kind of a reflection of what you all have shared. It seems like those systems that have a lot of industry in their customer base, that usage sometimes is shifting from the industry to the residents who are staying home. So it's it's kind of an interesting phenomenon. And then those systems that are almost exclusively residential are the ones that seem to be seeing actually a little bit of an increase in usage. So yeah, as far as like folks being in the office, it's kind of all across the board. Some are still working from home as much as they can. Some are back. You know, it just kind of depends on what's going on in that particular county and city. But it's interesting because there's not like a typical path. It just kind of depends on the staff and how things are operating. But I think on the front lines, everybody's out there doing their thing. They're doing their jobs. And what's really cool is I feel like utilities as a whole are starting to be recognized for the frontline workers that they are. I think there's a lot more attention on the fact that utilities have had to stay on the job regardless of the situation. So kudos to everybody that's doing that. And I'm glad that they're getting some recognition for that too. That's a positive.
All right. Thanks, Clay. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
Russ, I think Scott Treese and Ted Chisholm are back with us now. They may be able to, they called in.
Okay, super.
Can you hear me now, Russ?
Yes, sir.
Okay, LaGrange Utilities, we have stayed open, and like everyone else, we probably got a little bit different scenario here. We actually have had one employee that has got the virus. So then when that happened, we sort of sent all of our employees, every employee here has been tested now. Everyone has come back, over half of us has come back negative. We have probably sanitized our building more than a whole lot of people with bleach. We're continuing to work every day. Our lobby's closed down. We're furnishing all the PPE that we can. And I actually went to my board last night, and where I know they say that we got to pay 80 hours with if anybody gets the virus. Well, I asked to my board last night and asked for 120 hours, because if someone gets it, 80 hours, if they clean up in the 14 days that they say you might clean up, then we want 2 negative tests. So that's not going to give them enough time, paid time, to go in and get cleaned up, get 2 negative tests to come back to work. So I proceeded last night to go to our board and ask for 120 paid hours for every employee, and not to be counted against their sick time if they have any sick time accumulated at this time.
That's great. That's great. Well, we certainly, our best wishes to your employee and to you all as a system to get through that.
Ed, have you all had anybody? So you've had the one, I mean, the concern is just that it's not even 3 weeks getting over this, that it's a long process.
Right. Well, the great thing about our employee that's got it, that the only thing that's happened to him so far is he lost his smell and taste, and
good.
It's starting to come back already. It's already starting to come back, and talk to him about every day, and everybody's test has come back negative here. I've got 4 that test results haven't come back yet because they got tested at a later date. I couldn't get everybody in on the same day to be tested, but we are sanitizing. I think our employee is going to do great. His wife has also got it, and she's doing this. She's got all the same symptoms. Taste and smell's gone, but other than that, they're not running any temperature, and they got a little bit of sinus infection.
Good. I had a friend of mine that got it, and he ran a fever for about 14 days. So that's why I guess I'm trying to caution you on this.
It affects everybody differently, seems like. Wes, what about MSD? Would you mind you guys certainly on a lot larger scale, and curious if you've got some advice for the rest of us.
Well, yeah, thanks, Russ. So we basically, as a leadership team, we meet once a day, mostly virtually like this, to discuss, those that have shown symptoms and have gone home or consulted a physician. So far, we are very fortunate. We have not had anyone come back as positive for this, so thankful for that. Just a couple things, PPE, working with the distillers to get supplies of hand sanitizer. We made a decision pretty early on to require masks for our folks that were going out in the field. So as part of that, we purchased some cloth masks and made cleaning of those available to those employees, and then limited the number of crews that you had or number of people that you had in vehicles. We've done some shifting of work times, where you report and how many people are congregated at those places where you report for work. And then, one of the biggest things that we've tried to address is the whole health check and testing thing. So it's somewhat easy for the folks that are working remotely, because at the end of the week they submit basically a statement that says that we took our temperature every day and that you answer these health questions, and that gets submitted to HR. But for those frontline staff, we've set up basically a process where people, when they're coming in the gates, they get asked the health questions, they get a temperature scan, and we have people that are fully geared up in PPE to do that. So it's quite a process, and it took a little bit of time to get that organized, but that's something that we felt was important to do every day as crews came in. As far as revenue, that's been one of the amazing things too, is that when you look at the delinquent accounts that we had on March 1st, we were floating around 300. Just to give people a sort of the scope of the agency, we have around 250,000 accounts. And so we had 300 of those on March 1st that were in a state of delinquency. Then you fast forward to the end of May, and that 300 jumped up to about 12,000. So significant jump. We've been working with our counterparts at the water company to reach out to those customers and see what we can do as far as getting some of those resolved, affordability programs that are available, things like that. And I'm sure there's stuff I'm missing here, but this has been for however long this has been going on, feels like several years, but there's tons of stuff that pops up every week that we have to address and deal with based on what's happening with the virus. And so I would just offer up, if anyone has questions or has any needs or needs a connection with for PPE or something like that, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll try to make connections and assist as needed.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Appreciate that. All right. And we're in about the same boat as everybody else. We've been doing the exact same things, limiting one person per vehicle, limiting crews to a lot of times just essential work if it requires folks to work together, and taking temperatures, basically the same things I think everybody else is doing. So it sounds like we're all in the same boat, but certainly folks with probably a more industrial base are seeing a little bit bigger impact financially. And like Tom said, I think it's important to remember, push out the Team Kentucky funds and get folks to sign up for that. We've received several payments through that already, where it's helping folks out and that's going to hopefully reduce the amount of bad debt that we have. So thank you for that. We'll move on now.
Hey, Russ,
And
I'm going to interrupt you for just a sec.
Sure.
I'm going to ask Clay to speak on, he can speak more intelligently on the subject of when a city owns either only owns the sewer infrastructure but doesn't own the water infrastructure, and what they can do when a payment isn't being made and the legality around those issues.
Okay.
During pandemic, of course there's not much we can do, but after the fact, what a city can do in that circumstance.
Sure.
Well, Danielle painted me as someone who's got legal advice, and I'm going to definitely put a caveat on that. This is not legal advice. Please consult your attorney. But I was trying to dig into helping a community that the city owned the sewer infrastructure, but not the water infrastructure. And of course, it's a little bit hard to cut off sewer service when someone is delinquent or doesn't pay on their sewer bill. The only way you can really do that is through the water side. And they were having some trouble with that even before COVID-19 and all that started happening in March. But I did reach out to someone who knows a lot about utility law, and they referenced me to Chapter 96 of the KRS statutes, and even within that, there's a subsection. I think it starts in like 930 and goes through 943 or 48, where it talks about how that process happens. And what I learned is that there doesn't have to be an existing agreement between the sewer utility on the city side and the water utility that is separate. Those statutes actually form the basis for the requirement that the water district or water utility would shut off service to a non-paying customer, even if that customer is just not paying their sewer portion. So anyway, as Danielle said, it's not a lot that changes what's happening as long as there's a state of emergency that's been declared, because they can't cut anybody off. But probably the interesting thing that I learned through all that, Tom, I think you actually mentioned it in your debrief, was that those debts continue to accumulate. You can't, my understanding is you can't go back and charge late fees for anything that happens during that state of emergency. But once that state of emergency is lifted, the debt that has been incurred through the non-payment of utility bills during that entire period can be collected without any additional regulations passed or any other guidance. So that was probably the takeaway that I got from that whole research that I was doing. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but hopefully somebody can get a nugget out of that.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate that. All right, Justin, you're up.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate it. First of all, I want to thank Jennifer for her presentation, and then for Edith for being with us today and for her report and update. And thank you very much, Hilda Legg from Rural Development, for her presentation as well. And I just wanted to jump in. We were supposed to have Kent Chandler with us for the Public Service Commission today, but something came up and he couldn't join us. He didn't have much, but he did want me to relay to you all that there has been no information regarding the timing of any modification of Governor Beshear's executive order and PSC's order on disconnections and late fees yet. He also wanted me to let you all know that they are currently conducting a report right now about those subjects, and they've requested information from 19 small water utilities that is due later on this month. But if any of you all, and I'll send this out to all the rest of our directors and operators throughout our region, if any of you all are interested in finding out about that report and wanting to send any information for that review to them, if you're non-regulated by the PSC or anything, they are accepting those, and they would like to hear your all's take on that as well. So I'll be emailing all you all that, so you can reach out to PSC and Kent Chandler if you would like to do so. On my water management coordinator's report, we have 3 projects that we need to approve today. One of those is a new wastewater treatment plant that the city of Shelbyville and Shelby County is undertaking. We have their director, Tom Doyle, with us today on the meeting. He can go into more detail, but it's just a a new wastewater treatment plant for their city because they're nearing 90% capacity. And the second one is going to be constructed in the western growth area of Shelbyville Sewer Services. It's going to be designed for a 2.3 million gallon per day flow capacity with a 7 million gallon per day peak flow. I'm not going to go into too many more since we have Tom with us. Tom, if you want to brief the council a little bit more on the need for that project and your all's plans, and we can go ahead and get a motion to get it approved.
Brief history on the current plant. You know, like so many, with the heavy rains that we had over the last 2 to 3 years, it put the current plant at capacity, and actually DOW was not going to grant us any more extensions. We were able to re-rate the current facility so we can stay away from any administration action against us, even though administrative action does help out with funding. But we have decided to build a new plant instead of adding on to where we are. Most of our growth is in our western area. So we're going to build a new plant down that way, take some load off the existing plant. The 33 million also includes a lot of line work. I think it's 16 million just for the plant itself. We've already required the property that we were needed, and we got a public hearing on everything going on first of next month. So we're moving forward to get this done so we keep economic development up in Shelby County.
Just to wrap that up, we're here to support them in any way. We're getting this process through the WRS portal for them to do all their mapping and get that so they can have that in the portal. And then if he's going to go for any state revolving fund loan or any other loans or grants, we'll help him out with that if needed. But we're here to support this project. It's a very well needed project that we're here to back up. And I guess if we can get a motion to approve this, and we'll go ahead and get the mapping component checked in so we can get it approved.
If I guess if no one minds, we've got 3 projects today. We could go on, do all and hear about all 3 and then approve them all at one time, unless somebody has an objection to that. No objection. Let's just move on and do all 3.
The other 2 are with North Shelby Water District, our water company, and US 60 Water District. That is Pete Hedges. He's the director of both of those. We have him with us today as well. Lee Mudd is their engineer for these 2 projects, and he passed along all the information to me. I have updated all that and put those in the project profile as well. For North Shelby, the project title is Kentucky Highway 53 Water System Replacement Project. The project proposes the replacement of 42,000 linear feet of deteriorating 8-inch water line, and it's near Core Jackson Road with a new 8-inch PVC. US 60 Water District, the project title for that is 2021 Water System Improvements Project. It's a proposed project that includes a complete replacement of the existing booster pump station in Grafenberg and a full-scale rehab of the district's existing Driscoll water storage tank. Today we have Pete Hedges with us, and Pete, if you want to give the council a little bit more information about those before we can get those approved.
I guess we'll start with US 60's system improvements. One of the things that's being done there is the complete replacement of Grafenberg pump station, which was built, I believe, in the early 70s. It's, just outdated, needs to be upgraded. As far as its capacity, it really won't do what we need it to do anymore. And is rebuilding the actual pump station there just really doesn't make any sense to try and rehab what's there. We're going to rebuild build a whole new station. So, and included in that is our storage tank on Driscoll Road in Spencer County. I can't remember the age of that tank right off the top of my head, but it's in need of, it's nothing structurally, but it's starting to need a sandblast and paint, the typical rehab you see every 15 to 20 years on any storage tank. And on the North Shelby end of it, that line out Highway 53 or LaGrange Road, whichever you want to call it, basically runs from the bypass in Shelbyville out to LaGrange Road. And I've been here 21 years, and that line's been a problem for 21 years. So it's a whole lot of it's got to do with how it was installed back in the 70s. But with our capacity and everything picking up, and we're running higher pressures, we're starting to see more issues out of that line. So the sooner we can get that line out 53 replaced, the better off we'll be.
Okay. Any questions for Pete?
Russ probably remembers that line well.
I remember the line and the tank being built both. So
yep.
All right. So with that, I would accept a motion to approve these 3 projects. Can speak your name and motion or raise your hand.
This is Ted Chisholm, LaGrange Utilities. I make a motion to approve those 3 projects.
Thank you, Ted. Do I have a second? We're kind of limited on our number of people here today, so.
Yeah, I can't second it myself, can I?
No, Russ, you could.
Yeah.
Or Wes, you could.
Yeah, I was gonna say, am I authorized to second
Sure.
motions? All right,
Yes,
I
sir.
second.
Second by Wes with MSD. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, guys. Projects are approved, so appreciate that.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Justin, you have anything else?
I do not, other than thank you all for joining us today. And KIPDA, we're always here to work with community development block grants and the state revolving fund loan, and that this second round of invitations coming through the SRF, through KIA. Hopefully some of our systems who are in that second tier category will be invited, and that we're here to assist those wholeheartedly all the way through the process. There's a CDBG deadline of August 3rd, and we have a few applications right now for water and wastewater systems that we will be assisting with. And we're working hard a month in here doing that, and then kicked into SRF after that, the new applications this fall. So we're really here to help you guys in any way through this crisis. Really appreciate what you do for our communities. Our communities rely on you all, and without the services that you provide at this time, it would be a lot worse of a situation that we would find ourselves in. So thank you all for your work, and thank you for all the people who spoke today and all the regulatory agencies. You guys are paramount in assisting fund these projects and keep the infrastructure up to par. So we really appreciate all that you do, and our KIPDA staff really look forward to working with you all the rest of this calendar year to see some of these out.
Well, thank you.
Justin, I would like to say something.
Sure.
Yes.
This is Mayor Joe Robinson with the City of Bedford, and I just wanted to thank Justin Carter, Danielle Story, Olivia Rancine, everyone at KIPDA. I wish to thank Clay Kelly with Strand and Associates. They just got us a big KIA loan that will upgrade our systems, and it couldn't have been done without them. And they really worked hard, and they got this going. And I really want to thank you all for all your help.
You are so welcome.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. So with that being said, I think everybody's about had time to talk, but if there are any county updates or any announcements anybody wants to make, speak up, raise your hand. Certainly be glad for you too. Ted, I know you probably have an announcement you need to make, and I'll let you go ahead.
This is Ted with LaGrange Utilities. I would just like to announce that I am retiring. I will be leaving LaGrange Utilities as of the first day of September. I appreciate everything that the advice that everyone has given me, the help that everyone has contributed while I have been in leadership for the last 6 years. KIPDA has been a great access to LaGrange Utilities. I want to especially say thanks to Justin, because Justin and I really worked close together. through this big project that we have got right now going on. Danielle's been there to support us. I'd like to say thank you to that. But Scott Treese will be taking over as the director of LaGrange Utilities, and this will probably be my last meeting.
All right, and those, I think most everybody knows Scott, but Scott's the former director for the city of Newcastle. So we appreciate Scott being here today and look forward to working with him.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Thanks for being awesome, Ted.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ted, who's Russ going to pick on now? It's all going to be Scott, me, what? I mean, you're just leaving us.
Your name's come up several times, Clay. I don't know.
Clay, I just said I was retiring. I didn't say I was leaving.
You know that's not.
I thought you'd been retired for the last 6 years.
You better believe it.
He's just a master delegator.
Yes, there you go.
Any other announcements anybody has? I don't know, Wes, would you like to, I'm not sure everybody is aware of your all's recent acquisition and how things might be going out here in Oldham County.
Sure. Thanks, Russ. Yeah, so as of July 1st, 2020, MSD and the and Oldham County Fiscal Court basically closed on the acquisition of the Oldham County Environmental Authority. So, I mean, that was something that has been discussed probably over the last, probably close to 18 months as far as looking at the system, due diligence of different financials and assets. And so we're excited to complete that partnership. So far it's been, very good as far as, the communication with Veolia, who is the contract operator for that system, and will continue at least for the next almost 2 years by contract. So getting into this is probably not the easiest time to do this type of expansion, but just very pleased with the professionalism and the opportunity to create that partnership that we have with Oldham County and with Veolia. So we've been doing this together as the owner for not quite 2 weeks. So we're like I said, we're just very excited to be in that partnership, and things are going well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Any other announcements? All right. Well, again, like Justin said, want to thank everybody. I did have one thing that I don't think we brought up yet. Justin mentioned Kent Chandler, and Kent, if you don't know, was the executive director for the Public Service Commission, but has recently been appointed to be a commissioner for PSC. So if you don't know that, he is now the newest commissioner for the Public Service Commission. And at this time, he is still serving as the executive director. As far as I know, as of Friday, that was still the situation. And I believe that still is today. So congratulations to Kent, and appreciate him, everything that he's doing, and the role that he's going to be taking on in the coming 3 years. So thanks for that. Again, thanks to Rural Development, KIA, Rural Water, the Division of Water, Public Service Commission, RCAP, and KIPDA. I don't think I left anybody out. But really appreciate everybody and what you all do, as well as all the systems represented here, and all the operators and the workers. You guys have really put up with a lot since March, and we really, the whole community owes a debt of gratitude to all these operators for what they've been doing and putting up with, and their contribution. So we really appreciate that and what everybody does. So with that, we'll accept a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Ted. We have a second, and by Tom, and appreciate that. And we're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a great rest of your week.